as a 20-year customer of Blizzard Entertainment, I am appalled at your disrespect for customer service. I am an individual who has spent money on your game, and I refuse to pay anything in the future. It's like, why, man? Why would you ever do something like that? So,
Guy was like, the only deck he could actually play was Secret Paladin, and that's going away. So I guess that would explain a lot.
That's definitely gonna be a lot of QQs there.
Yeah.
All right, well let's talk about some new events that were announced, since the last show, and one of them happens to include, Team Tempo Storm here. We'll start off with that one. So Team Brawl, Red Bull Team Brawl. It was a collaboration between. I mean, I think this is Frodan's baby. So let's just have Dan talk about it. I mean, it's a very innovative type of format that we haven't seen in Hearthstone. But I'll let you take it, right, Frodan?
So for Team Brawl, it's a team sealed event coming this weekend at the Red Bull Studios. It took a really long time to convince Red Bull to do something in Hearthstone because, it's not that Red Bull doesn't like Hearthstone at all. They're actually huge Magic the Gathering fans. The thing about it is that Red Bull is supposed to be like a performance enhancement. That's kind of what they do, right? That's why they have a Red Bull athlete. So when they show Blake Griffin or they show Shaun White, it's like they jump high, they run faster, they measure their heart rate. So in esports, when they go to like StarCraft, when they go to Dota, it's like their APM is this, their eye reflex twitch, all this kind of stuff they can tangibly measure, but there's no like
Red Bull secret APM techniques.
There's no athletic measurement of what you can do in Hearthstone outside of.
You need good eyes, dude. You need good eyes.
Patrons per second that you can create. So
right.
there was this element where like they were like, yeah, that's great, but how do we like really advertise Red Bull outside of grinding ladder like 30 hours in a row to get legend first like 6-0? And I'm like, well, I don't know, man. So in a lot of ways, it took a long process to convince them. But finally I said, you know what, how about if we, instead of doing like a real cool Red Bull event, like just a Hearthstone, why don't we do like something completely unique and steal something from Magic the Gathering. In the words of Reynad. Reynad said, Frodan, you're going to eventually run out of formats from Magic to steal from. And I said, well, until that day, I'm going to keep riding this gravy train. So I invited 4 teams. We invited like Brian Kibler, Strife Crow, Tides, Reynad, Hyped to test this format. And Reynad was really, really good about building the tool. The tool that you guys are blowing up and causing Reynad's internet bill to skyrocket is largely because of him and Rania from Team Crypt. So
Team Crypt.
You gotta thank them because they did a really diligent job. And they built it in like a month. That's what's insane. Like we were like,
did Rania build it or somebody like? Y'all have like a
no,
developer.
it's our web developer.
Okay, I was gonna say, man, it's Rania is a developer.
She's got some pretty good computer stuff, like background, so she would probably be able to at least help with the logistics.
Go ahead, Ray.
I approved the use of our most powerful servers, so it'll be fine.
You signed the
like you're running
letter.
for office.
Make Temple Storm great again.
All right, Frodan, sorry for interrupting. Keep going. Keep going.
So basically, the team sealed is you and 2 other players. This is again from Magic the Gathering. You guys open a pool of cards together, and you build decks that are exclusively used per card. So if you open, say for example, 3 Zombie Chow, rest in peace, 3 Azure Drakes, then you only can have 3 Azure Drakes used across 3 decks, and however you choose. 1 Drake per deck, 2 per one, and 1 another. It doesn't matter, but it's really fun because all of a sudden you have to think about overall lineup synergy. And once you're done building your decks, you line up against another team that does the same exact thing. And it's kind of like this halfway point between Arena and Constructed because you have a pool of cards, but at the same time you have to learn how to like properly build and look at limited formats as a way to constructively look at synergies. So it's a really cool format. From the tests, we've tested so much with numbers. I know a lot of people talk about like, why is it this many packs? Why is it this rarity? Why is it this kind of 3 decks instead of every player has 3 decks? Why are you playing best of 1? We've tested so many numbers. But again, this is kind of numbers that Reynad helped refine a lot, and I think it's a pretty comfortable number. Wouldn't you say, Ray?
Yeah, it's pretty much as good as you're going to get. It's a nice balance to the point where it actually feels super different from Arena. You're not just like playing all the cards at the highest stats or anything. You actually build synergies, and there's like cards that suck in Arena are actually like really good in this format and vice versa.
Yeah.
And you build a lot more towards synergy and this kind of thing. And the whole like being forced to build 3 decks also adds an element of skill where you have to like properly identify which 2 drops go where. Little things like, oh, I should give the River Crocolisk to to the hunter deck that's playing the Devil Sword 8/8 guy. You put the beasts in the hunter deck or the druid deck, and then give mage the mechs. Things like that come up a lot. So sometimes you get 2 power maces. You want to give shaman the mace, and I don't know. It's honestly it's a great format. I'm gonna start streaming it a lot. I want to play cash games against other streamers, and I'm really looking forward to doing it more.
Can we bring money matching back into Hearthstone? Like, that's something that I think people need to do. Like, real ones, not just like, hey, I'm logging on to esports here.
Yeah,
is that allowed? Is that allowed, dude?
5,000 points.
It was actually... No, it was the first thing I got banned from Twitch.
I know, right? Mr. Twitch guy over here. Is that allowed, Frodan?
If it's illegal within your state. I don't know, like, actual...
Okay. Oh, that's true. That's
terms of it, but it's like...
Yeah.
Maybe you shouldn't call it money matching. Maybe you should.
No. Yeah, what's the Reynad Invitational? The $50 entry fee.
Call it face off.
Like 2-man fight.
Yeah.
A friendly bout between 2 gentlemen.
The daily Reynad challenge. Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
I'm not publicly endorsing gambling.
No, you're not.
Because I am not a CSGO caster. So
it's an esport event, man. With an entry fee. It's an esport event with an entry fee. 100% prize pool. That's all it is.
That is true. That is true. Winner takes all 1v1.
Right?
That's right.
Okay, so one thing to mention is I'm taking a look at these teams, okay? And I mean these are like a little bit ATL like teams. They're just kind of, general speaking. And for one, the Cloud9 team. I mean, we've got 2 Hafu and Tides are like former Cloud9. Is that why they're I guess assigned to that team? I mean,
it was was part of Cloud9, and just because she's not on the team doesn't mean that she doesn't get along with the players.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that more later. But Hafu specifically agreed to do the event because she really liked playing with Tides and Strife. So it's like that was a big identity of it from former teammates. Plus, it just kind of fit. They all live in Santa Monica. They all hang out together. They have dinner regularly, so it was really good.
Got it.
For Team Liquid, it wasn't originally Team Liquid. I can go ahead and say that we were originally talking to Brian Kibler and building a team around him.
How are you down again?
Maybe, So the fact that we had Savit's Dog and Trump come, it was a last-second replacement, but it's actually a really good one too. So I'm really happy about it. And the big thing about all the lineup was that we really wanted to focus on North America talent as well, in the sense that we want to get local guys here to really help. And, that's where Rasma really fits in. That's where we want to get more guys like Dog featured more, because I think Dog's a fantastic player. And Zolay, etc. Because Europe has so many events. Asia has some events, and NA has no events at all. So... Savit's is because he just happened to be around for the trip, so a lot of people will be like, why didn't you invite like Kalento and Life Coach and other really good players as well? If the series continues to develop, but this is just our first event, so I'm really hyped for it.
No, this is a good lineup. This is definitely a great lineup, especially for the first time here. And then you mentioned, I saw you guys tweeted that Firebat's gonna be playing instead of Reynad, right? Who's replacing Firebat on the Team Archon?
So we have Amnesiac.
Oh, okay. So the young Amnesiac. No. Yeah.
I think their first request was maybe Orange, because Orange is killing it. Really criminally underrated player.
Yes, definitely.
But Orange again from Sweden. We couldn't. He had to fly right now in order to get here. So Amnesiac's from Boston, and he is 15 years old. So, so just basically a one replacement for Reynad in terms of age and maturity.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Reynad's I will not comment on this for that.
I'm good with 18.
I'm good with 18. Wow.
Okay.
All right.
Pretty generous.
That had to come out, right?
Mm-hmm. All right, so that's going to be happening this weekend. Definitely check that out. And I guess casting is going to be Frodan here. TJ, and Hyped's going to be casting too. Cool.
Yeah.
That's going to be good.
TJ.
We don't see that guy enough. Where's Hyped been, man?
Hype's alive and very, very satisfied.
Yeah, to put it that way, I guess.
Oh my god. Okay.
Even Reynad's smiling on that.
And I was like, yeah.
He knows that feel.
Okay, there's another event too that was announced actually before I think the Team Brawl was announced, and it is a collaboration between Team Archon and Curse called the Curse Trials. $30,000 prize pool. Actually, is there a prize pool for Team Brawl? I forget. I was gonna ask you
it's
that.
3K. There's some
3K,
details
yeah.
that we didn't mention. It's
Okay.
gonna be on the Redbull Twitch channel
Yeah,
on February 6th to Saturday, and it's 3K prize pool.
Yeah.
It's a small event, but it's a 1-day event. We're not like, and it's gonna be a really tight one too, because there's 12 players, 4 teams, so it's not gonna be like the hour-and-a-half long breaks in between matches, like coming up next, and just like, well, next could mean tomorrow. So
yeah,
it's gonna be a really tight show, 1 day, like 6-7 hours, and then we're done. So it's gonna be a really awesome quick hit.
Yeah. Actually, one thought I was wanting to mention before we do move forward is the thing I like the most about Team Brawl and what you guys are doing is that tool. I believe, of course, you guys will probably say, yeah, of course he likes that tool, right? Because it's a technical person. But I think a lot of people, whine and complain about Blizzard not having like formats and tournament formats and things like that built into the client. But whenever you see, folks that are being more proactive about, trying to create these these innovative type of formats and things like that external to the game, but making workarounds in the form of these tools and developing tools, that's where we need to go. That's why I really am very pleased to see events like this, and I hope that more event organizers will do the same thing. Go in and find a developer, an engineer, or a programmer that maybe a buddy of yours, and try to brainstorm about like what kind of things can you do, by just creating a tool, and then using just whatever you can do in the game to try to facilitate that. Right? We saw that a little bit with Lord of Arena. That was like the first one, and then this is like another one like that. So I really like seeing that in the community, and hope more people do that. So kudos to you guys, man.
If it goes well, we're definitely not going to do like this. Well, what's the next one team we're going to get? Like, should we get Na'Vi and play with the 3 same teams? Like, yeah. I mean, that might happen a little bit, but, oh, cool. Reynad's periscoping.
I'm looking for an outlet that works. My bad. That's what to do.
That's
no worries.
That's just chilling
the part
out
where I
my
tap
house.
the screen for like 500 hearts.
Oh, God.
So it's what was I saying? Oh yeah. So if this goes well, I'm talking to Reynad all the time. Like, how can we do this locally to have like an event in Los Angeles? And if it goes well, then I'd go straight. This is my job. I go straight to Twitch. I'm like, can we bring this to Crip and Noxious in Toronto and have them do like a team sealed open event, give them some prizes, give some money, sponsors, etc. Have them do in the community.
Yeah.
So this is kind of what my job is and what I'm really interested in, because I think that kind of really builds more of what people love about Hearthstone. I'm a big fan of what Blizzard's done with the game, but whenever they ask me how to improve the game, it's not about nerfing Dr. Boom, Shredder, or Druid combo, or Mysterious Challenger. For me, like, I tell them, like, where's our social options? Where's our game? Where's our opportunities to just click something in the button to show where to find Fireside Gatherings? Where's the opportunity to connect with clans and guilds? Like, I mean, I can understand that maybe they want to limit the UI design, but there's no way they should be stopped promoting the social aspect of stuff. The biggest reason why Magic and everything else has gotten so big is because of evangelists, right? The people who share the game with other people, and a lot happens at Friday Night Magic, other things. Yeah. So to end the rant, this part of what makes the the Team Brawl so exciting to me is how there's going to be a lot of socializing within the game. The teams are going to be communicating in the middle of them. They can help each other. Firebat can reach over to Rosmo or Eloise and talk to them through their play. Same with Strifeko, Hafu, etc.
Try to get some of that footage too, because I that's one thing I miss a little bit about. Remember old school ESGN when you guys used to have everybody together and like they were all playing together, right? Just back in Fight Night day, those little team battles. I kind of miss some of that talk. That'd be great if you guys could get a little of that footage too, like when they're building the decks and trying to figure out how to distribute the cards between the 3 decks. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Okay, well, I was mentioning the second event, which was a Team Archon and a Curse collaboration, which is a $30,000 Hearthstone Invitational, and this one's another one that's basically trying to try out a different format. This one's not quite as crazy with a different tool, but it is going to be building decks that have no classic cards in it. So kind of like the new format's basically the theme of early 2016 so far, and that's like that's definitely awesome. So they're going to be doing this. It's going to be February 17th through 19th. They've only announced 4 players so far, but there's 16 players that are going to be announced. I think maybe in the next couple weeks or so. But RDU, Firebat, Strifeko, and Oskaka so far. So definitely check that out. I'm sure that's going to be probably on Team Archon or Amaz or one of those channels, I'm sure. So be sure to
It's a pretty
keep an eye out for
restricted
that.
format, though. Like,
Yeah.
I looked at that format a lot in
Yeah.
the past, and it's basically mech decks. Everybody plays Fel Reaver. I don't know. Paladin is dominating. Like, it feels like it's a very narrow thing because BGH is out, right? So you just play BGH. You can play Fel Reaver, Dr. Boom, all the BH targets you want. You play Belchers. You can play KT because there's like hardly any silences and like hard removal left. So there's like a ton of really high power cards that just don't get answered, and it's looking to me like Paladin, Warrior can do a pretty good job. Mage, Shaman, everything mech basically. Like Mage, Shaman, even Druid can pull off mech. It's pretty nuts. I don't know. Very narrow.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that Archon is still trying to innovate some formats as well. Like I know that they also met with Blizzard like last year on a private meeting to just talk about stuff. I think it was primarily about ATLC, but they also like Backspace was telling me he dropped in some knowledge like about how he's pushing for Classic to get rotated out. So this when Amaz says like, oh, this was like a 6-month process of like getting the event to happen, it's actually pretty true. They're definitely been working on this for a while to get this event off the ground because they've been wanting to rotate Classic out for a long time from their camp. Whether or not that's the right design decision is completely up for debate, but I think it's pretty sweet. It's been a while since we had a meaningful online tournament that people truly cared about. Ironically enough, it's the last time that happened was Archon's tournament.
Our ATLC, yeah. I feel like that's the one I remember.
Yeah, and it's a lot of money for an online tournament too. It's very classic Archon in a sense where it's like it's a different format. It's a lot of money, so people care about it. And it's also laced in irony that Firebat was one of the first invites. So it's gonna be a fun event.
We're getting to that, man. But yeah, definitely, and it looks like it's 3 days too. So this is more of probably a full double elimination bracket, I'm imagining. If it's 3 days, it seems like it would be something like that with 16 players. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on that. That's going to be in 2 weeks. So it looks like we're going to be having an event at least this weekend and then 2 weeks later. So hopefully there's something in between so they keep us busy in the meantime. Okay, let's talk about Firebat and a lot of the drama that's been happening lately with him leaving Team Archon. He tweeted. It's funny because we were trying to get Firebat on here, and I knew nothing about this whole leaving Team Archon thing, and it just happened that he was too busy to come on, and then literally 2 minutes later he announced he was leaving Archon. So I was just like, wow, I didn't know any of the this was going on. So he came out with that. There was I believe a Gosu Gamers article that came out that kind of revealed at least Firebat's side of the story where he wasn't very happy there, felt disrespected. There was some issues with even paying his salary or just timing of paying his salary, and stirred up a lot of things, right, in terms of drama. There was a video released today with Backspace and Amaz kind of telling their side of the story. So there's definitely I didn't actually get a chance to catch the video yet because I was just been planning this show the whole day. So Frodan was trying to catch me up on it. Reynad, did you get a chance to watch, I guess, all the stories behind both sides of it?
I can't really have Backspace on my monitor for more than 3 seconds at a time without punching a hole in it. So no, I didn't really watch it. I read the Reddit post. That's about it.
Oh man. Okay.
Reynad does the classic skip straight to comments, didn't watch it, start talking about it.
Yep. Noxious, how about you?
I didn't even see it. I was actually streaming all day, so I didn't catch it.
I
but
you didn't get a chance.
I read a bit of the comments just to see what it would be about. But I mean, the only thing I got is that air dirty laundry in front of, like, in public. So just you don't have to. That's all. Right. That's the gist of what I got. That's about it.
Right.
Whatever was gonna be in it was just gonna be upsetting. Like, it's any player you sign to your org should not have to worry about like after the contract ends, getting a 10-minute video being shit talked about your character by a streamer that's bigger than you. Because that's like how it always works.
Well, okay. Hold on.
You had me up until there.
Hold on. All right. Frodan's seen the video. Frodan's actually seen the video. So.
Oh my god,
this is so awesome.
Hold on. We're gonna hear both sides of this. No.
So sick.
I'm gonna get to Red, but Frodan, you saw the video.
Because this sounds so familiar to me with Reynad when he had a former employee of his, as he would call it, called Tides of Time, where him and Tides had and it's not that it's not the same situation where, you know, they disagreed on the same concepts, but it's kind of like the same idea, right? Where like they parted ways, and in the end, it doesn't seem like it was very happy split, and now all of a sudden they find themselves on opposing sides very quickly, right? Reynad had to play Ties and DreamHack, and then that was a very interesting time for a rivalry. That was actually the last time where I remember drama this good happened.
This good. Wow. Okay.
And, you know, the whole thing about you know, so first of all, sorry, to your point, Reynad, you know, you are correct in your statement. You're absolutely right. That shouldn't happen. But I'm glad you learned your lesson if that's what's happening from this point forward.
Well, I never made like a YouTube video because Tides never shit talk Tempo. I never really shit talk Tides. I just said the reason was like videos and stuff.
Yeah, you know, you didn't really like call him a liar or anything like that. You just said
it wasn't personal. It was business stuff, right?
The point is like going out of your way to like make a public piece of content where with just like disparaging comments towards somebody, that's unacceptable from either side. Like had Firebat done that would have been equally terrible, because then like why would any org want to sponsor him in the future? And then like since Archon did that, it's like why would any player want to sign to them in the future? It's just like lose. Like nobody wins when that shit happens, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
So fucking proud right now, man.
What that's about? Tears of joy and pride.
I take back
yeah,
every mean thing I said today so far. But you know, I think Reynad hit the nail on the head here. The thing about Amaz and Backspace is that they're not like unjustified for making that. In fact, they even prefaced it like a lot of the reason why we made this video is because, you know, he said some stuff about our organization and we want to just clear things up. And you know, that's perfectly reasonable in a very normal state where it's like I want to have another side of the story, because if you just let one person say stuff, especially someone as honest as Firebat, which they did bring up, you know, Firebat did he's kind of a loose cannon sometimes. He talks a little bit too much on the stream. Everyone knows that. It's true.
yeah.
But you know, a couple things definitely made me uncomfortable. The first is that they did it together. So when you like kind of have 2 versus 1 in terms of a discussion of why you hurt me and I hurt you, it kind of leads to this snowbally thing where like one guy talks and then he wasn't even thinking about why he doesn't like him that way, and then that reminds him of another thing. So then you start talking more, and it just continues to compound to each other. So it felt like they were ganging up, and it just didn't come off as a good tone. And then finally Amaz ended the video with his own personal appeal, which he said he wished Firebat would, you know, mature a little bit. It's like that's perfectly fine for him to express that emotion, because it's a very natural reaction. But again, you know, he's a team owner, so before like you go everything else, you have to understand. It's something that I pound on Reynad all the time. It's like you represent so much more than yourself. If you say something, you're not only putting yourself out there as Reynad, but it's also Tempo Storm, and also your employees that you represent, and also your sponsors you represent, and also anything you ever touch, like Lord of the Arena, Challenge Stone. Everything's associated with it. He understands that completely now. And so, you know, it's one of the things that is so dangerous. Like, and if I were to go back in time, I would go to Amaz and I would say, like, if you're gonna do this video, make sure you say 500 good things about Firebat before you say one bad thing. Right. Like, you have to, in the sense that like you have to express that, you know, you guys were friends. Like, he was a founding member of Archon.
Yeah,
this is
it
the
wasn't
way.
spite or any kind of like just pure, I guess, meanness as a result of you splitting and disagreeing on the fact that I guess you wanted to take a different direction than he did. So I don't know. I just feel it's weird that they didn't simply like they didn't have to ignore it, but they could have if they wanted. Make a short, sweet statement, which they did when he was released. But then they made an entire video on top of it, which I thought was kind of the unusual part of it.
The statement.
They also did an AMA on Reddit to explain it as well. So I was also using
an AMA. What the hell? I didn't catch that.
One of the owners of the team,
the third owner,
that's
not Amaz, did an AMA explaining a little bit of the Firebat situation, and I can understand. You know, it's a lot to come in. It's you know, Firebat's a star player on Archon. Outside of Amaz, it really is Firebat that gets most of the attention pull.
He's one of the world champions, man. We only have 2 of them.
And he's not only that, but he's been doing sick. I mean, last year
he's one of the best players. Like, period.
So,
I say the top. Yeah,
it's a huge loss. I can understand why, but you know, obviously, I'm really saddened by it. Like that's the way it is. And I know Firebat is too because he defended Amaz a lot, despite Amaz. Not everyone kind of throws around the Skamaz meme nowadays, but once upon a time, people really actually use it as a malicious way to attack his character all the time. And Firebat was one of the people defending Amaz. You remember after the Pinnacle debate, who's the one who went on Reddit to fend off the hordes?
That was
who was it?
Hero Firebat.
Who
was the hero?
He messed up so bad. And it's I'm not trying to laugh at him, but it's like it's really hard to try to defend yourself without getting taken out of context, which is what happened. But Firebat sent himself out there and it was like, no guys, like Amaz is really good. He always tries to help his friends. He's a good owner. Like Archon's really trying our best. We're really sorry this happened. The Pinnacle was just like this, this stupid mistake. We're not going to do it again. We're really sorry. And he did it on his own account. He wrote it in his own words. He replied to every comment, and he did it. He's like, this is not the way. This is not the way you part ways with him, in my opinion. Just like, but I don't know. Like that's a year ago, so maybe things have completely deteriorated to that point. And I can tell whenever I talk to Firebat. I was talking to him about the event this weekend, so I got the chance to chat with him. He was just sad, man. It was just like these were my friends. These were people that I really wanted to work with, and it's not about who's right or wrong. It's just sad that two friends or two groups of friends just like split like this. Whenever people break up like that, it hurts. So it's not about who's right or who's wrong, who should be the one who has the final say.
Yeah,
that's all I have to say about it.
Definitely,
which is 5 minutes.
Which is actually quite a bit. Yeah, well, a pretty good monologue though. I enjoyed it. Thanks.
Definitely. Oh, okay. Let's talk about the aftermath of it, which is Firebat's a free agent now, right? And so let's talk about, I guess, the value of Firebat. I know, Noxious, you think he's the best player right now, just from the standpoint of.
Well, I don't know about like the best player because I think that's really hard to evaluate in the context of the metrics that we don't have. But overall, like if we just look at the results that he's had, like I remember earlier in the year, I think I casted the kickoff season against a Star Ladder, and then he got. CN versus NA, he ended up playing with a bunch of the NA players as well, and then he got WCA nearly first place, not quite there. Like a bunch of the tournaments that he did, he got like sick results in, and for some reason, it's like business as usual. I don't think anybody kind of batted an eye. It was always like, oh yeah, Firebat wins. It's like nothing crazy out of the ordinary, which just goes to show that the consistency's been there since the very beginning. And for a game that's claimed to be not an esport with all the variants and whatnot, I think he's doing a pretty damn good job of showing that there's a little bit more to it than just flipping coins, even though sometimes it comes down to that. I don't know.
Reynad, you're the team owner here, so in terms of like free agency, like what do you see value? Like what's the value here with Firebat?
As far as what?
Just evaluating just whether he's a good pickup or not. Just like what do you think?
Yeah, of course he's a good pickup. I mean, it's the best free agent that's been available for a long time.
Yeah.
He's proved that he's not a fluke. Like he didn't just win BlizzCon. He's done consistently very well. It's a good way of thinking about the game. He's marketable. Has decent stream numbers. Yeah, it's a great pickup for anyone.
So Tempo Firebat confirmed right now, right? Is that what you're saying?
Tempo Bat, I guess.
Yeah, I already wrote this in my blog. I think Firebat was my personal player of the year in 2015 for many reasons. Not because he's performed the best, but in a lot of categories in terms of impact on the metagame.
Community as well, man.
His consistencies. There is a metric of prize money that he's won, which he outperformed everyone last year. You can put him in the top categories of Tice, Kalento, and even to a certain degree like Purple. Those guys all perform better, but personally I pick Firebat as the number one. And it's kind of a shame that some people still think that he legitimately is a fluke, which, and then they're looking at like Tice, for example, who didn't actually have a really good result until like he won DreamHack last year, and people still doubted him for a while. But that's kind of what Hearthstone is, It's just like it's a state of like always being an underdog, whether about the game itself or, the fact that it's a card game. People always underestimate and kind of.
Well,
give it this like.
This is like a whole another show itself, but I just think the way we have things structured in the community, not necessarily the Hearthstone World Championship, but just generally, like we don't really celebrate our champions. Like there's no title holder. There's nothing to like even represent how these players are good over time. Like Firebat, like everybody's probably forgotten he won the championship like in 2014. Oskaka, people have probably forgotten he's already won 3 months later. You know what I mean? And I feel like we don't really represent that, market that just really have anything like bracelets and poker, anything like that I feel like we should have.
That's a great point.
Yeah,
like I think just to kind of derail the topic a little bit before we wrap up the Q&A is that I really think we should emphasize more about overall placings. Like we don't really remember who this. Like, can you tell me the semifinalists from 2014 BlizzCon? A lot of people can't. Noxious, can you? I don't want to put you on the spot too much, but do you know the semifinalists of BlizzCon 2014? They won $25,000 and top 4 in the
Green
world.
Sheep, Tiddler, Firebat, and I'm missing someone. Am I even right about these three?
Green Sheep was around eliminating the round of 16.
Around 16, okay.
Kranich.
It was Kranich.
Kranich, then.
Kranich and D2.
That's the one. I don't know why I keep confusing.
Oh,
Green
D2.
Sheep and
I
D2.
totally forgot D2.
Like, name-wise, I don't know why.
So people don't remember that, but they should, in the sense that it's great. People are like, what kind of results does even Reynad have? And Reynad's actually placed top 8 in a lot of events, or top 4, So it's like this kind of stuff. People remember the winners, and winning a Hearthstone event is super hard because it's unlikely. But placing top 8 consistently is great. Eloise tells me about the best player in China, in her opinion, is one of her teammates when she was on Douyu, and it was this guy named Xiao Ran. He actually played in DreamHack this past winter. He got really far. He went like 6-3 or something like that, but he didn't. He just missed the cutoff by 1 loss. And he's gotten top 8 in Gold League like 4 times or something like that. And that's a 500-man open tournament where you play best of 3. Like, that's so hard to do 4 times with like top 8. And it's like the hardest tournament. And that's the only tournament you can play in China. So thousands sign up. But like, people don't talk about that. They talk about like this guy who had an insane run, and that's part of the buzz of it. That's the Chris Moneymaker effect. But I think we also need to continue to like change a little bit of the community identity to celebrate these people who get top 8 or top 4, because that's also a great accomplishment as well.
Yeah, or we come up with a more solid ranking system. A ranking system that actually is accepted by the entire community. There is one that's I guess Ghost Gamer kind of has their, and it comes up every so often, but it's not the accepted one. I don't think it's like globally accepted. So hopefully we can figure, or we can establish that in time.
Maybe it's time to make a meta snapshot of players right now. What do you think?
I was actually thinking about that.
Hey, that's not bad.
That'd be pretty cool, actually.
That's not bad.
We got one on the way for like Cures of the Storm and Overwatch, and then I should probably do
a player one. God. All right.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that, bro? That's nothing. I mean,
this game's not even out yet.
So what? So what? He's getting ready. He's getting ready, man. That's cool. Okay, well, why don't we do some Q&A here? Let's take a really quick break so I can kind of go through and just look at some of the tweets here, and then we'll be right back. Quick word from, I guess, our innkeeper for the Patreon too, but sit tight, and we'll be back in about a few minutes. All right.
Want to support ValueTown? Go to patreon.com/ValueTown. Come and join us by the heart.